What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so today we saw Game 3 of the 2025 Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. Of course, so far this series, the Pacers have been the dominant team. They won 2 games on the road in New York. Of course, New York has home court advantage. At least they had home court advantage in this series. It didn't matter. The Pacers are road warriors. In fact, they have won 6 consecutive road games in these playoffs. Matter of fact, they haven't lost a road game since the Milwaukee Bucks series. I guess it doesn't look so bad now that Milwaukee lost 4 games and 1 to this team. Remember, everybody was clowning the Bucks. Oh, they lost 4-1 to the Pacers. Well, the Pacers are just 2 games away from the NBA Finals. But the Knicks had something to say about whether or not that's going to become a reality, because the Knicks came away with this game with a hard-fought but well-deserved 106-100 victory. They cut the Pacers' lead to 2-1. Now, of course, they still got their work cut out for them because, in my opinion, if the Pacers take a 3-1 lead in this series, I still think the Pacers are going to win. I mean, teams have come back from 3-1 deficits, but I don't see the Pacers being one team that's going to cough up a collapse of that magnitude. Maybe I'm wrong. The Knicks had so much going against them in this game. Earlier on, it looks like the Pacers were still controlling the tempo of the game. The Pacers, like, they could still just get any shot they want. The Knicks were misfiring offensively. Karl-Anthony Towns just couldn't get into a rhythm. He took a very ill-advised, shot from Bermuda earlier on, and just didn't look good offensively. A lot of it had to do with foul trouble. Both Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns got in foul trouble, especially Brunson earlier on. Matter of fact, Brunson picked up his 4th foul, I think, midway through the second quarter. It almost got to the point where I was starting to question, man, damn, does the league want the Pacers to win this game? Because usually, the NBA, I understand it's a sport, but it's also a business. You know what I'm saying? You kind of look at the fact that if you go with the way these series are kind of leaning, you're going to have 2 small market teams representing both conferences. And we know that that's often, when it comes to ratings, box office poison. So, I was thinking, hey, I'm not saying that the league should cheat for the Knicks, but, you thought they were going to kind of look out for them, even though the Pacers are at home. Nope. Somehow, Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns got in foul trouble. And the Pacers looked like they were well on their way to another blowout win. At one point in the second quarter, they had a 20-point lead. But the Knicks were able to whittle into that lead to the point where it was a 13-point deficit, which is still a significant lead, a solid lead, but not being down 20. And slowly throughout the third and fourth quarters, I thought that the Knicks defense began to ramp up. And while Jalen Brunson was not really offensively dominant, He did have his spots. He made some big shots down the stretch late in the game to help seal the deal, free throws and a runner. I remember those buckets. But it was the others I thought that kind of stepped up in stretches for the Knicks. In particular, I remember some shots for Mikal Bridges. Um, who else? Some key free throws by some of the bench guys, since some of the key guys were in foul trouble. So that forced the very stubborn um, Tom Thibodeau to play some of the bench players. And these guys stepped up and, like I said, made some big shots, and they became some unsung heroes. The Pacers, uncharacteristically, when you look at them throughout this postseason, they were misfiring, man. And honestly, um, Nesmith, Nemhard, these guys who have been big for much of the playoffs, they really didn't do too much. As a matter of fact, the one guy that I thought was solid in this game was their backup point guard, McConnell. I thought McConnell played very well. Pascal Siakam, when he got it going, he was playing well tonight. But, somebody who was missing for the most part, except for like maybe a couple of threes or whatever, although he did have some nice feeds, in the third quarter and a couple in the fourth quarter. But offensively, I thought that old boy Tyrese Halliburton really was missing for most of the second half of this game. Almost like he was kind of afraid to take some shots. And it seems like to me, sometimes Tyrese Halliburton, and maybe it's more often at home, but sometimes it seems like he doesn't shoot the ball as much when he's at home as opposed to when he's on the road. Maybe that's a misconception on my part, but it just seems like he sometimes is more offensively aggressive on the road than he is at home. Fourth quarter, it was Karl Anthony Towns. He took over this ball game. All right. He scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. Matter of fact, he became just the second Knick ever to score 20 points in a fourth quarter postseason game, joining Jalen Brunson. I'm kind of surprised at that. I would have thought that Bernard King would have done that, but he didn't. Then again, there was no three-point shot. Well, there was a three-point shot, but he wasn't really shooting a three-pointer. I'm pretty sure he came close to that. But anyway, Karl Anthony Towns came into the fourth quarter not shooting well. And only had 4 points going to the fourth quarter. He finished with 24 points in the game, 24 points going on with 15 rebounds. And the Knicks were able to hold off the Pacers, who did not play very well in the second half. The Knicks scored 36 points in the fourth quarter, and they were able to do something that they normally don't do, which is they were able to simultaneously speed up their pace of the game to get back into the contest, but at the same time defensively able to stave off the Pacers and make it more difficult for them to score. And they were able to do that. And I'm not saying this is a series again. Well, technically it is, because it's 2-1. So this is still a series. But I'm telling you something. I don't get the impression, and I think this is pretty much for the entire playoffs, even though the Pacers at home, this is a playoffs that's sort of weird where no team really seems to have a definitive advantage at home in most of these series. Maybe that's the case over in the Western Conference Finals to a certain extent, finally. But in the East, you get a feeling that the Knicks could win at Indiana. And inversely, the Pacers can win at Madison Square Garden. So the Knicks got still got their work cut out for them as far as getting back in the series, as I said. But yeah, hard fought win for the Knicks, man. Tell me what you guys think.